Warhammer 40K is already a nightmare universe. There's no hope, everything's trying to kill you, and worst of all, cows have been replaced by reptilians.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
But even worse than that, there are Xenos out there that make even my cow hooves shake. Monsters that can infest you, melt you, and wear your skin like a goddamn party hat. So today, in the spirit of Halloween, we're talking about the scariest Xenos in Warhammer 40K. The ones that will literally make you piss your pants. It's that time of the year when we swap bolters for candy and talk about the things in 40K that would make even a space marine need a new set of armor. There's a lot of horrifying aliens out there, from galaxy-eating bugs to folks who lay eggs in your brain, and I'm going to go over each of them, talk about who they are, why they're so terrifying, and then, in traditional Falling Cow fashion, we'll rank every single one to find out which Xenos would make me piss my pants. So grab a pumpkin spice latte, light up your pumpkins, and pray to the Emperor, because we're jumping headfirst into the scariest Xenos in Warhammer 40K. We're beginning this spooky video with the Enslavers. Being so terrifying, they help wipe out the old ones themselves. Yeah, these things were one of the reasons the galaxy's first gods got their tickets punched. The Enslavers are ancient horrors born from the warp during the War in Heaven, when the old ones were busy creating psychic species to fight the Necrons and the Catan. Unfortunately for them, all that warp energy attracted something far worse. Creatures that broke into real space and started taking over minds like some kind of cosmic parasite. The Enslavers are floating barrels covered in twitching tentacles with big glowing sensory organs that stare directly into your soul. They move by floating, they hunt by thought, and they use psychers as living doors to drag their buddies into the material realm. The arrival of these warp entities brought the final downfall of the Old One's reign, as their own creations fell victim to the command of the Enslavers. Breaching the Immaterium in insane numbers, the Enslavers would take what was left of the galaxy, whilst the Catan were shattered into shards by their former Necron slaves. I will admit, it's never fully explained by Games Workshop how the Orcs, the Eldar, and the other younger species in the galaxy managed to survive this onslaught. I believe it's stated in the 5th edition Necron Codex that the Necrons inadvertently saved the Eldar and the other younger races by using their blackstone pylons to cut off most of the warp in the galaxy, saving them from the Enslavers. But on the other hand, it allowed the Old One's younger creations to bounce back and force the Necrons into the long sleep due to their inability to challenge their strength at this time. But we're not here to talk about the War in Heaven and its aftermath. We're here to talk about giant jellyfish that infect your brain. So why are these Xenos so goddamn scary? Imagine you're a psyker minding your own business when suddenly an enslaver notices you. It latches onto your mind and starts reshaping your flesh into a pulsating mass of warped tissue until your body literally becomes a doorway into the warp. Your skin bubbles, your bones melt, and your brain becomes a psychic wormhole for these tentacle nightmares to ooze through. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds gross. Once they breach real space, they enslave every mind they can reach, turning humans into drooling puppets who will kill and burn if commanded. And when they spread, entire continents collapse in days. From the Death Watch core rulebook, Inquisitor Malin once warned, just one witch, unsanctioned, caused the destruction of Hive Scorpios. When one of those things used her brain as a gateway to this world, within 3 days, the entire Hive's population was reduced to drooling mind slaves. Within 3 weeks, an entire continent was at war, and all because the governor thought his family should be exempt from the Psyker Cult and refused to give his daughter to the Black Ships. What a silly fella, am I right, guys? But here's the most horrifying part. Enslavers possess psychers like demons, but unlike demons, they don't show any outward signs of it. No glowing eyes or floating above the bed. They just work quietly, manipulating everything and everyone to further their own ends. Their primary goal? Get even more enslavers to enter the material world. With enough victims, a powerful enslaver can dominate an entire hive city, spreading its influence across a whole planet. And when that happens, the only solution left is exterminatus. Burn the whole planet down, wipe the slate clean, and pray it worked. Make no mistake, if these things ever started invading again, we're all fucked. There isn't a damn thing we can do about it. Rest in peace, GG, well played. The sloth are an ancient Xenos species, likely native to the Calexius sector, long before even mankind emerged. The true homeworld remains unknown, possibly laying far beyond the Halo stars. Rogue traders speculate that a sloth empire exists on the fringes of the known universe, and of course humans, abundant and fragile, have become the sloth's preferred prey. Local Imperium folklore calls them the worms that walk, or the Maggot Men, nightmarish predators that rise from the abyss to kill and consume the living. While dismissed as myth by many, the Inquisition is painfully aware of their existence. Archives show frontier worlds deliberately destabilized over millennium to allow sloth incursions, and their network of agents within the Calexius sector continues to grow. But what really makes the sloth infamous is their appearance. Physically, the sloth are horrifyingly alien. Alfarius, who encountered them in the book Head of the Hydra, described the sloth as tall, closer to 3 meters than 2. Its hands were both masses of maggots, and where the face of a human would be, simply a blank mass of writhing worms. We see in this book that this form allows them to stretch, reform, and move with fluid, boneless grace. Furthermore, they are nearly indestructible, resistant to disease, poison, and aging, and only seem vulnerable to extreme trauma. Alfarius, attempting to find Omegon, eventually comes to blows with one. The sloth was inhumanly fast and swayed aside from the shot. Although the plasma bolt took off its right arm halfway up, it seemed to pay the injury no mind. During this fight, he even expects to lose. Even Primarchs have their limits, and this son of the Emperor would be lost to the galaxy before it had even learned my name. My only consolation was that I had trained my legion well. Through them, my legacy would live on, and the Imperium would have its protectors. Lucky for him though, he is saved by Omegon, who stabs the sloth in the back, killing it. Later, as they attempt to leave the planet, they encounter a small squad of sloth, and Alfarius remarks that even together, Omegon and I didn't think we could take on a whole platoon. We fled when a small force approached. Think about that statement for a second. 2 Primarchs, even though they may be on the weaker side, did not think they could take on a whole squad of sloth. That's a pretty fucking terrifying thought. But hold on to your pants, guys, it gets worse.
Oh no!
The sloth's threat extends far beyond physical. Human psychers attempting direct contact with the sloth's consciousness often die instantly. Such is the psychic horror of their minds. And in typical 40k fashion, their hunger drives them to consume intelligent life, particularly brains, which provides both nourishment and narcotic pleasure. To put it in the simplest terms, the sloth are incomprehensible predators, patient schemers, and hunters of mind and flesh. To encounter one is to face a living nightmare, a being that can kill, consume, and manipulate even the most powerful humans and their Primarch champions. Only by exploiting their weaknesses can even the strongest hope to survive. Up next is the Rangda, or the Rangdang. So what do we know about these guys? I'm not gonna lie, there's really not a lot of lore. The Imperium's records on them are fragmented, contradictory, and in some cases deliberately erased. But what we do know about them paints a terrifying picture about them and the wars the Imperium fought against them during the Great Crusade that saw entire Space Marine legions wiped out, and the Emperor himself had to intervene. The Rangdang were an ancient, violent Xenos race encountered during the Great Crusade. They emerged from the galactic north and east in an invasion so brutal that it nearly broke the newly born Imperium. The Dark Angels, the Emperor's First Legion, bore the brunt of the fighting, suffering catastrophic losses during what would be known as the Rangdang Genocides, 3 separate galaxy-spanning wars that consumed countless worlds. I have found a few sources that show us just a glimpse into the Rangdang. First, from the Horus Heresy Book 1, Betrayal, which describes them as having sloth murder minds, suggesting that they may have been slaves or genetic creations of the Sloth Empire. A horrifying thought, considering how stupidly powerful the sloth already are. The book continued by stating that wherever the Rangdang went, the sloth were often seen following in their wake, harvesting corpses and survivors alike. It's entirely possible that the Rangdang were a frontline weapon, something similar to a shock troop that would be deployed to destroy worlds and take out enemy forces, paving the way for their Maggot Men overlords. Visually, their fleets and warriors were also nightmarish. Their warships were described as brutal, almost organic-looking constructs, covered in metallic spines and dragging long chains and flails behind them like tendrils of some spacefaring jellyfish. These ships fired radioactive, electromagnetic blasts called shadow blasters. Yeah, real original name there, Games Workshop. But even with their silly names, these weapons were capable of burning victim shadows into walls and metal. And as for their elite warriors, they were said to rival Astartes in single combat, wielding weaponry even more advanced than Imperial tech and protected by personal energy shields. They enslaved entire populations through neural collars and forced billions into their service aboard artificial war moons. Massive orbital fortresses crewed by thralls and commanded by overlords and war masters, as stated in the Horus Heresy Book 9, Crusade. As the war raged, entire legions were decimated, systems utterly destroyed, and the fighting became so catastrophic that the Emperor himself had to personally intervene. It is stated in the Book Inferno that in order to emerge victorious, the Emperor had to unleash a shard of the motherfucking Void Dragon. According to this novel, he opened up the Noxus Labyrinth, the crypt that supposedly imprisoned the dragon beneath the planet of Mars. And using its power, he destroyed the Rang Dang once and for all. Though this theory has never been officially confirmed, the mere idea that the Emperor had to unleash a literal Catan shard just to win gives you a sense of how terrifying the Rang Dang truly were. Although we don't know much about them, the Rang Dang were one of the biggest threats the Imperium has ever faced. The kind of enemy that made even the Emperor break out the divine WMDs. So yeah, when folks say the Rang Dang Genocides were some of the worst fighting in Imperium history, they're really not exaggerating. Makes you really want to see a book series written about them. Come on, Games Workshop, give me a whole series on the Great Crusade. I'm fiending for it. Next up are the Crave, and here we have yet again another Xeno species that wants to take over your brain. What the hell, man? Why are there so many fellas coming for my cow brain? Just leave me alone, you scary bat guys. Gosh!
Leave me alone!
Can't you guys just go for something else? Why is it always the brain? Like, come on, take my kidneys or my udders for Christ's sake, just not my simple little cow brain. How else am I gonna do power scaling videos? The Crave, also known as the Mind Eaters, are an ancient and insidious race, older than even the Eldar Empire and possibly among the first predators to hunt the minds of sentient life. Described as bat-like creatures larger than humans, the Crave are said to exist in both the Materium and the Immaterium simultaneously, walking in a sense through two realities at once. According to Lionel Johnson, Lord of the First, they are divided into root minds, which are their true physical form, and slave organisms. Lesser creatures are hosts psychically bound to them. Each root mind can enslave entire worlds through sheer psychic dominance, twisting their victims into obedient thralls. They spread through the galaxy like a psychic plague, feeding on strife, paranoia, and mistrust, thriving wherever civilization began to rot from within. Their technology is equally disturbing. Crave fleets are made of nest webs and snare ships, living constructs that transverse the warp with eerie accuracy. Their weapons, such as warp glamours and ether blades, slice through both body and soul, while the infamous extinction carbines can tear apart a target's flesh and spirit in the same shot. These bat fellas have been encountered many times throughout Imperium history, from the World Eater's extermination of the Crave on Serac 17 to the Dark Angels campaign in the Muspel system, and countless other bloody conflicts like the massacre of Cormang and the scouring of Low Borea. But one of the most chilling encounters with the Crave occurred during the Great Crusade when Lionel Johnson, Primarch of the Dark Angels, came face to face with one of their most powerful agents. As told in Lionel Johnson, Lord of the First, the Primarch confronted a Crave host named Savine, a creature wearing the skin and memories of a once human woman. The Lion approached it with his usual coldness, aura farming as usual. Lionel Johnson, she said, in a voice like grinding glass, "You grace me with your presence at last." The Lion dipped his head. The Imperium would never acknowledge this foe or know the cause of their annihilation from history, and so it was only just that the Lions salute a worthy adversary before their end. Savine, the woman bared black veined teeth. You know her name. Did she imagine that I did not? Is that petty resentment that weakened her mind to you? The Lion shook his head. No one is admitted aboard my ship without my approval. Nothing transpires here without my knowledge. I keep no secrets that can't suffer scrutiny. Malcador knows this as well as I requested Savine. The Crave host swayed as though struck. Savine has suffered for her shortcomings, the Lion went on. As soon will you. I have already slain one of your kind. Your arrogance in facing me is deeply misjudged. So from this excerpt, we have a Crave fight Lionel Johnson in a battlefield of his own mind. This plot by the Crave goes horribly wrong and backfires terribly because the Lion is able to kill the Crave and steal information from its mind, allowing the Lion to set a bait for the Crave so he can destroy them and learn where they are.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You disrespect yourself and your nation. You are made of stupid.
So, by the end of the book, they are not really a threat anymore. Their thralls have all been destroyed, most of their species have been wiped out, and other pockets of resistance throughout the galaxy have been utterly destroyed by the advancing forces of the Great Crusade.
Disappointed!
Before moving on, I do want to say that I really do love Lionel Johnson, Lord of the First, but I wish they made the Crave a bigger threat. I feel like they were so easily defeated, which is a common theme with most Xenos throughout the Great Crusade, especially during the Primarch books, as Black Library loves to introduce very cool Xenos and then kill them in the same book. It's very frustrating, especially in a setting where we don't really see new factions arise. So when new Xenos get introduced, it's very exciting, but then very disappointing when they are deleted in the same exact book. Unfortunately though, there's nothing this silly cow can do about it. But while the Crave haunt the mind, the next monsters we're talking about go straight for your kidneys. The kind that skitters in the dark, that makes your skin crawl and your stomach twist.
Why spiders? Why couldn't we follow the butterflies?
I hope you don't have arachnophobia. If you do, you might want to skip this next part. The Mechrachnids are first seen in the fantastic book Horus Rising, discovered during the Great Crusade when the 140th Expeditionary Fleet landed on what they thought was an unclaimed world. The planet was covered in towering spires of stone-like trees laced with electromagnetic storms that scrambled communications and tore drop pods from the sky. The last transmission from the Blood Angels captain, Kitus From, was chilling. This world is murder. When reinforcements arrived, including Horus Lupercal himself, Sanguinius of the Blood Angels, and the Emperor's children, they discovered the truth. Murder was no empty world. It was the prison of a nightmare species that should have never been disturbed. This species was the Mechrachnids, a spider-like alien Xenos race that came in countless forms called clades, each evolved for war. The ground warriors stand 3 meters tall with 8 limbs and skin harder than ceramite. Their upper limbs end in blades of organic metal so sharp that when Captain Lucius of the Emperor's children picked one up, he sliced open his armored hand just by holding it. Above them swarm the flying clades, massive wasp-like monsters with hooked heads that could punch straight through power armor. Then there are the Builders, vast, bloated variants that consume the broken remains of the Mechrachnids' biomechanical trees and regurgitate fresh material, while smaller drones use it to construct new towers, vast living antennae that disrupt Vox signals and call down electromagnetic storms. So why were the Mechrachnids on murder in the first place? Well, long ago, they had spread across 8 systems, conquering and devouring everything in their path, until they were finally defeated by a civilization called the Interrex. Instead of wiping them out, the Interrex exiled the creatures to this world of murder, where the Imperium would ultimately discover them. The war between the Imperium and the Mechrachnids lasted 6 brutal months. Thousands of Astartes died, entire companies were impaled on these horrific trees, left as grisly displays for the swarming horde. Even with 3 legions and 2 Primarchs on the ground, victory only came when the War Master himself ordered orbital bombardments to scour entire regions of the planet. Eventually, those who imprisoned them, the Interrex, would arrive, and Horus ordered the campaign to a halt to meet with this highly advanced human civilization. It's not exactly stated what happened to the Mechrachnids after the events of Horus Rising, but we can only assume that they were wiped out like every other alien during the Great Crusade. And now we turn to a completely different Xenos race. A nomadic, time-warping species whose mere presence could rot an entire planet from existence. The Harad are one of the most mysterious and terrifying Xenos species in the entire 40k universe. Described in Perturabo, the Hammer of Olympia, to be cryonomanic, they possess the ability to manipulate time through both biological and technological means, making them incredibly dangerous. Kinda sounds familiar.
Go! Time roulette!
I knew I had seen something like them before. Entire star systems have been destabilized simply by their migrations, and even the most elite Space Marine chapters have been overwhelmed or destroyed when confronted with the Harud. The Imperium first encountered the Harud during the Great Crusade, when the Iron Warriors in Perturabo were tasked with their destruction. Although they were successful in their campaign, the Harud lived on and over the millennium have left destruction and temporal anomalies in their wake. Physically, the Harud are notoriously difficult to study. Their appearance varies depending on the source, but they are consistently described as disturbing. In the Infinite and the Divine, they are depicted as tall humanoid creatures with black, bulging eyes, mandibles, clawed hands, and flexible spine-like limbs capable of whip-like strikes. And then, in the 6th edition Warhammer rulebook, they are described as small, hunched, rat-like beings cloaked in tattered rags with long tails. Well, whatever the case, both depictions make me want to piss my pants. Their bodies are layered with neurotic or artificial tissue, fungal and bacterial matter, and scales, creating living armor that can channel toxins through their claws. Their skeletons consist of interlinked vertebrae, allowing them to contort unnaturally, while their outer layers serve multiple purposes, generating heat, absorbing trauma, and storing toxic compounds. Their senses are highly adapted for nocturnal and subterranean existence, with acute hearing and balance, poor color vision, and extreme sensitivity to light, making them perfect hunters of the shadows. The most terrifying aspect of the Harud is the Sazak, an anthropic field generated biologically by every member of their species. According to Perturabo, Hammer of Olympia, this field bends light and time, rendering the Harud nearly invisible and making detection incredibly difficult. This field rapidly ages anything in proximity, from weapons to human flesh, and can even distort armor and spacecraft. For example, the Sazak field caused an entire fortress to crumble as if it had been abandoned for millennium, and inflicted instantaneous death on combatants through accelerated decay. The Sazak field can also shield the Harud from attacks, deflecting projectiles in unpredictable ways or causing them to simply disintegrate.
Well, that's just silly.
And even more crazy, when the Harud are in large enough numbers, they are capable of generating an even stronger temporal distortion, which can leave entire worlds decimated by their passage.
Huh?
The Harud's technology mirrors their biology in its alien, deadly sophistication. Their signature weapon, the Fusel, fires plasma capable of materializing inside its target, bypassing armor to destroy it from within. What the fuck, guys? That's so broken. Someone needs to release the batch notes on that, and we gotta get that nerfed. According to Dark Heresy, disciples of the Dark Gods, other Harud devices create temporal vortexes, shunt victims out of time itself, or deploy melee blades that age or dissolve anything they touch. They are capable of controlling their Sazak field for use or trade, and their migration vessels are bizarre constructs of fungal, crystalline, or organic matter that distort time and act as shields. Entire Harud fleets have been observed generating temporal collapses so extreme that Imperial vessels are aged millions of years in moments or obliterated into dust. The true terror of the Harud lies in their inescapable nature, in that their presence manipulates time itself, capable of erasing life, aging worlds, and rendering advanced technology utterly useless, all while remaining almost invisible to the naked eye. Even the strongest defenders, from Space Marine chapters to Deathwatch dreadnoughts, have perished under the effects of their Sazak field. I mean, guys, imagine you're a Joe Schmo guy and you accidentally pass one of these guys. Months, even years of your life would be gone in a blink of an eye. Wow, that makes me think I need to get a Harud detector. This cow's got a lot of years ahead of him. We can't be turning 50 before I've won the International Yu-Gi-Oh! Convention.
It's time to do.
Come on, this cow's got dreams. The next Xenos is the Umbra, who are an alien species manifesting as smooth black spheres with swirling pearlescent patterns. Now, we don't really know a lot about them, but what we can gather from the xenology is that they are drawn to regions stuffed with the warp, including starship holes, warp engines, and suspected webway entrances. They are capable of manipulating shadows into nightmarish forms, such as limbs, hooks, blades, and teeth, that allow them to lash out at anything nearby.
I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
The Umbra are not organisms in the conventional sense. They show no visible means of motion or respiration. Their outer shell is a brittle, glossy substance, while their inner cavity contains a frictionless, non-Newtonian white liquid that can solidify unpredictably and vary in density. They can hover indefinitely and move with almost alien-like intelligence, making them extremely difficult to track or predict. One of the Umbra's most terrifying traits is the death shriek. Upon death, an Umbra can brighten suddenly, sending intense cranial pain to any nearby observers and triggering horrific visions. A humanoid figure splintering apart, turbulent warp storms, deep space, and finally a single word: linger. This phenomenon implies a connection to a higher dimensional or warp-based force, further cementing their reputation as absolutely horrifying entities. The origin of the Umbra is the subject of speculation. Some theories suggest they are fragments of the Old Ones who have survived the War in Heaven. Others in the community propose a connection to the Harud pantheon, potentially as shards of Qua, the Harud's principal deity. Regardless of their true origin, the Umbra are utterly terrifying. I mean, imagine you saw a floating black ball coming towards you and then it whipped out a shadow claw.
Well, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, I think I would pee my cow-sized pants too. The Rakghoul are a brutal Xeno species of marauder pirates terrorizing the Kronos expanse, feared by all who dwell there. According to the rogue trader Edge of the Abyss, they are huge reptilian predators that possess 8 powered limbs, using 4 for walking and the others for climbing or hunting. Their upper limbs can shift into opposable hands or grasping feet, allowing them to scale surfaces upside down or strike with deadly accuracy. Standing over 2.6 meters tall, covered in thick stony hide, and equipped with keen senses of sight, smell, and a tail for balance, the Rakghoul are physical monsters honed for hunting and war. Packs operate with cunning coordination, and young Rakghoul are trained to hunt together, eventually earning cybernetic enhancements from their elders, turning them into machine-like warriors as they age. Their society is violent and tribal, ruled by castes from marauders and clutchmasters to broodmasters and abominations, each more augmented than the last, with abominations functioning as both commanders and spiritual leaders, orchestrating raids across the expanse. The Rakghoul are terrifying because of their savagery and appearance, but also because of their horrifying array of weaponry. From mono and chain blades crafted to their bodies, to rad beam cannons, force crystal blades, and devastating projectile weapons capable of shredding armor and flesh alike. Rakghoul attacks are marked by overwhelming numbers, coordination, and a willingness to exploit fear, leaving devastation in their wake. And outside of looking absolutely terrifying, these guys literally speak in screeching and raspy noises, and according to Rogue Trader, they show no interest in communicating with other races other than slaughtering them. Jesus Christ, these guys need to go to therapy. The Lacrimol are a Xeno species first seen in the book The Inquisition Adversaries of the Inquisitor, Aliens, documented by Inquisitor Parnival Grudval, who classified them as Xenos Horrificus. For those who don't know what the fuck Xenos Horrificus means, it's kinda just in the word. Aliens labeled under this term are deemed too hostile or dangerous to mankind and in need of extermination. The Lacrimal are essentially space vampires, capable of shapeshifting at will into forms that range from subtly human-like to grossly alien, allowing them to infiltrate ships, colonies, and communities undetected. They travel the galaxy by stowing away on unsuspecting vessels, patiently lying in wait until they can feed on the blood of their unsuspecting victims. Guys, these are not the vampires from Twilight that sparkle in the sunlight. These are not the handsome vampires from the Blood Angels, and this isn't Alucard from Castlevania. These are full-on fucking space vampires that can change form. That is one terrifying thought. Imagine you're hanging out with your wife or your girlfriend, and she turns into a fucking scaly-looking alien and tries to drink your blood.
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me! Oh my god!
Yeah, I hate 40K. I really hope they don't like cows. The Psych-Nuin are a terrifying, warp-spawned creature resembling enormous wasps. They are native to Mara and Prospero, though they are also found in the Webway, suggesting that this may be the reason they have been discovered on multiple worlds. They are psychically attuned predators that specifically target psychers, implanting microscopic eggs directly into their victims' brains. Once inside, the eggs hatch rapidly, consuming the host mind and body as they grow, eventually erupting in a fully formed Psych-Nuin. On Prospero, infestations nearly caused the collapse of civilization until the inhabitants learned to control their psychic abilities, yet swarms still haunted the ruins of cities and wilderness alike. We see the Psych-Nuin in action during the events of the book Scars. When the White Scars were investigating Prospero, they were attacked by these warpy monsters. The Psych-Nuin struck, clutching on Magi with its trailing limbs and angling its swollen abdomen for a sting. Magi lashed out, plunging his blade deep into the creature's body, but nothing connected. The Psych-Nuin latched a long proboscis onto his helm, and its glowing tip sunk beneath the ceramite. Magi screamed. In a century of warfare, Magi had never screamed. The noise was appalling. A howl of pure agony wrenched from his helms, augmenters, and dragged into the night. Magi went rigid, embraced by the Psych-Nuin's spectral limbs, dropping his blade and twitching violently. Blood spurted fitfully from his gorget sealed as he was lifted from the ground. Well, that's horrifying, and remember folks, that happened to a space marine. If me and you were out there, we'd be absolutely cooked. And before we move on to the next Xenos, I would like to remind everyone that the Psych-Nuin only seem to be damaged by psyker-based attacks. So once again, I reiterate that if me and you were out there, we'd be more cooked than fried chicken. The Slith are a highly dangerous alien mercenary species, often employed as bodyguards for the Dark Elder Archons and powerful gang leaders in Kamun-Ra, the Dark City. They are described in the Dark Elder 5th edition Codex to have serpentine bodies equipped with 2 sets of arms, allowing them to wield multiple blades in melee, while simultaneously firing and reloading ranged weapons, which means these snake boys are the ultimate multitaskers. They possess lightning-fast reflexes, enabling them to leap to their employer's defense in an instant, while their tough, near-impervious scales acts as natural armor. Unlike the treacherous Dark Eldar, the Slith are relatively loyal, extremely professional, and brutally efficient. What makes them truly scary though is their intelligence. Slith can coordinate with other alien mercenaries, exploit their varied combat styles, and execute complex maneuvers that even veteran human soldiers struggle to counter. They have fought alongside other Xenos mercenaries and outcasts in campaigns against elite Imperial forces, proving their combination of cunning, speed, and raw strength makes them lethal on both individual and battlefield scales. Like, look at these fellas. They're giant snakes with swords, guns, and 4 arms. But I think this is the first race on this list that I think I could personally take on.
You serious?
Yes, Yes, I'm serious. I'll just use the power of cartoon logic and make them wrap their tails around something while they're chasing me, and when they're caught, I'll beat them up. That's some cow logic right there, and I think it would 100% work. The Dark Elder, or Drukhari, are a race whose very existence is defined by cruelty, cunning, and survival through torment. They are descended from the Eldar, once a proud, galaxy-spanning civilization of near godlike intellect and psychic ability, but the fall transformed their most decadent into something far darker. Those who took refuge in the webway city of Kamun Ra doubled down on their hedonism, twisting it into something unimaginably malignant. These are beings who literally sustain their own lives by consuming the souls of others. The Drukhari 8th edition Codex states that at the core of Dark Elder survival is the thirst. An insatiable need to feed on pain and suffering to stave off the gaze of Slaanesh, the Chaos God, who consumes their very essence. Every captive, every victim, every enslaved being is a source of life itself. The Dark Elder refine this suffering with horrifying ingenuity. Slaves are made into living instruments of agony. Entire arenas exist where gladiators are mutilated for entertainment, or worse, the unfortunate might be transformed into walking, breathing torture devices. Their flesh and mind engineered to serve as a vessel for endless torment.
That's rough, buddy.
These such transformations are routine in the Dark City. In summary, these poor souls have become tools to the Dark Elder to prolong their lives. Worst of all the tormentors are the homunculi, grotesque biotech masters of Kamun Ra, who create endless new ways to twist flesh and bone, experimenting with pain and fear, all for efficiency, all for power. Nothing is left to chance. Every scream, every spasm, every moment of panic is a resource. Using this resource, the Drukhari can avoid death indefinitely as long as they maintain a steady intake of souls. This immortality comes at the cost of eternal malice. They can't stop because to pause is to risk being consumed by Slaanesh. For the unlucky who are captured, the consequences are unimaginable. Souls are stolen, bodies are tortured, and minds are warped. Some victims are made into living furniture, creatures whose existence is reduced to functional horror for their masters. Others may have their essence siphoned to power ships, factories, or other devices. In other words, being caught by a Dark Eldar threatens your very existence in a way that is fundamentally and permanently agonizing. They are merciless, sadistic, technologically advanced, and their culture ensures that every one of them will spend their life practicing cruelty to perfection. In the universe of 40K, if you are unlucky enough to be caught by the Dark Eldar, I think taking the easy way out might be the safe bet. Unless, of course, it's Lilith Hezebrax. Then I could see why you want to be captured. You little gooner, you.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. No.
Was I edging or was I gooning?
I don't know.
Count again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Edging or gooning?
Gooning.
So you do know the difference!
Once upon a time, and by that I mean millions of years ago, the Necrons were the Necron tier, a race cursed by the cruelest twists in the galaxy. They were brilliant, but their sun hated them. Constant radiation, short lifespans, and eternal suffering. So they did what any desperate doomed species does in Warhammer 40K. They made a deal with literal space gods.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
These gods were the Catan, star gods that fed on the life energy of the universe. The Necron tier, unfortunately, were tricked, as the Catan ripped out their souls and shoved them into cold metal bodies. The result was the Necrons. They got immortality, but at the cost of everything else. After this, the Necrons and their masters, the Catan, waged the war in heaven against the Old Ones and their creations, the Quarks, Eldar, and the other younger beings in the galaxy. Ultimately, the Old Ones were defeated, and the Catan cast down their bitter rivals. But in a bitter twist of fate, the Necrons turned on the Catan at their lowest, shattering them into shards and imprisoning them forever. However, this brutal uprising did not come without cost. The Necrons were brutally decimated, and with the younger races beginning to rise, the Necrons could not hope to challenge them. And so, they went to sleep for 60 million years. But now, in the current setting, they're starting to wake up one tomb world at a time. And that might be the most horrifying part in Warhammer 40K, because there's really nothing we can do to stop them. When a Necron world stirs, it's like the dead of the universe are rising. Unkillable soldiers who can phase through walls, regenerate themselves after being blasted apart, and fight with weapons that can unmake matter at a molecular level. Imagine, guys, you're Farmer Maggot, growing some potatoes out in the fields. Life is good. When suddenly, these fellas emerge out of the ground. You can't kill them, you're not a space marine. You can't run away. They possess vastly superior technology, and one shot from their weapons will turn you into dust. So, yeah, you're kinda fucked. Even if you do manage to escape your planet somehow, the Necrons have weapons that can melt stars and destroy planets in seconds. So there really isn't anywhere for you to go, which is the true terrifying reality the Imperium faces if the Necron race completely awoke. But the real terror of the Necrons is the flayed ones. Once proud warriors, now infected by the Flayer virus, a curse left behind by one of the shattered Catan. They rip the skin off their victims and drape it over their cold metal bodies, trying to remember what it's like to be warm, to touch, to live. We see this explicitly in the book, The Twice Dead King. Hundreds of the flayed had gathered in silence around the chamber's edge, hunched and patient as scavenging birds around a dying beast. Their oculars shone in the brief light, and shreds of wet meat glistened on the rictus of their faceplates. More orcs fired then, trying to aim at what they had just seen, and by the stuttering illumination of the guns, the ghouls began to slither forward. Then the killing began. Those furthest gone with the curse had been warped by it, their fingers extending into long, tapered talons. Others still used the hands that had once drawn star charts and written poetry. All attacked with the same animal hunger, seeking not to disarm or to disable, but simply to tear flesh and try hopelessly to consume it. It was blunt, mad butchery, underscored with a din of wailing and gibberish that drowned out even the bellowing of the orcs. Many flayed ones were maimed, but the damaged simply scuttled away or slipped away through their burrows beneath the intersects of space, to be replaced by even more of their kin. This excerpt shows the flayed ones in all their terrifying glory. Well heard, I'm not gonna lie, the flayed ones are a lot scarier than this excerpt paints them as, because they have their own fucking pocket dimension, known as the Flare Dimension or the Ghost Wind. In fact, it's stated in the Twice Dead King that the flayed ones can use this to travel anywhere in the galaxy, and an even more horrifying fact is that when normal Necrons enter this space, they actually feel fear. Yes, beings without souls or emotion feel fucking fear.
What the fuck?
Holy shit, fellas. I could go very in depth on the Ghost Wind and how freaking weird it is, but I'll save that for its own video. So yeah, the Necrons are a completely different breed of horror. They're the silence after death, the cold inevitability of the grave, and the crushing realization that one day even the stars will die and they'll still be here, watching, waiting, and as unfeeling as ever. But now, let's completely change gears and talk about the Hooligans of 40K. The orcs, the meanest, greenest, and quite possibly most terrifying gits in the galaxy. The orcs are one of the most deceptively horrifying species in the entire galaxy. On the surface, they're loud, dumb, and funny. Big green hooligans who live for fighting, looting, and yelling "Wag!" at the top of their lungs. But peel back the layers of crude jokes and slapstick violence, and you'll realize that the orcs are an unstoppable biological apocalypse. They're a hybrid species, part animal, part fungus, bioengineered in the ancient past by the long-dead old ones to be the perfect warriors. Every orc, from the smallest Gretchen to the biggest war boss, carries the genetic memory and biological coding to wage eternal war. I'm not kidding, guys. If you dumped a few orcs anywhere in the galaxy, they'll build weapons out of scrap metal, fight each other until they're strong enough to fight something else, and then turn it into a full-blown interstellar invasion. The average orc is physically terrifying. They're easily stronger and tougher than any human, capable of tearing a person apart with their bare hands, or shrugging off wounds that would kill most creatures. They don't feel pain the same way humans do, and the only thing they enjoy more than fighting is eating what they've just beaten, which often means you. To an orc, they fight because fighting makes them happy. They don't care about politics, resources, or survival. They only care about a good scrap and a war that never ends. But outside of combat, orcs are especially cruel to other species. For example, in the book Rin's World, as the orcs invade and capture humans, we have one especially gruesome scene. It was also clear that this beast was responsible for the faceless human corpses that hung from the branches of the trees outside. Cortez could tell this immediately from looking at the orc's face. Where an Imperial Medicae would have worn a surgical mask to do his work, this creature wore the facial flesh of its last victim. The effect was horrifying. The fleshy mask was still wet with the victim's blood. The muffled whimper sounded again, and Cortez turned his eyes to the source. Strapped tight to a table in front of the strange orc surgeon, a human male of about 20 years old struggled against his restraints. His mouth was indeed gagged, but his eyes were wide as the orc turned, scalpel in hand, and approached him. This paints a horrifying picture of these green hooligans. But the true nightmare isn't their sadistic ways, it's their biology. Orcs reproduce through spores. Billions of microscopic fungal cells constantly shedding from their bodies. These spores can take root anywhere, in the soil, in corpses, even in the air. Over time, they grow into new orcs, squigs, or Gretchen, and even produce the bizarre fungal ecosystem that sustains them. This means if you don't burn their bodies, an orc wog will return, just give it time. That's why the orcs are one of the most terrifying forces in Warhammer 40K. They're not really evil in the same way as Chaos or the Drukhari. They're violence incarnate, a cosmic joke that keeps on punching. You can't reason with them, you can't destroy them, and you can't outlast them. Because somewhere in the galaxy, spores are already growing into the next green tide, laughing, brawling, and screaming into the void. Let's just hope our planet isn't next. The Tyranids, also known as the Great Devourer, are the ultimate nightmare of the galaxy, that sole purpose is to consume every living organism in the galaxy. Their biology is a masterpiece of horror. Each creature is purpose-built for a specific task. From the towering Carnifex that crushes tanks, to the scuttling Ripper swarms that devour corpses, and all of them are alive, organic extensions of the hive mind. Their weapons are living organisms too, bred to spit acid, launch bone spikes, or melt armor with digestive enzymes. Even their hive ships are vast, pulsing beasts that breathe, bleed, and consume. Every life form they consume, every ounce of biomass they absorb, becomes part of the hive's genetic library. If you're some random guy living on a backwater planet, when the Tyranids arrive, they will come for you, they will devour you, and they will convert what used to be you into another killing machine, one that exists solely to kill and eat more bioforms. It's an endless perfect cycle of consumption. We see this devouring firsthand in the book The Last Hunt. They're on the hole, Davrik said. Before he could go on, a crash shattered the breathless quiet. The section directly above Crassus' chair in the center of the station's cockpit collapsed. With it came a flood of broiling green liquid that struck Crassus just as he looked up. If the old Sensorum master managed to draw breath to scream, the bioacid flooded his mouth, throat, and lungs before he could even make a sound. Serene, nearest to the center of the cockpit, was struck by the acidic spray. Her hands went up to her exposed face, and her screaming filled the claustrophobic space. No, Ancom wailed, lunging across his bench to catch the Unger Annalus as she collapsed. He managed to drag her hands away from her face, then recoiled. Her features had already been reduced to pochmarked bone, her eyeballs running like liquid from their sockets, meat and tendon slipping away from her fingers, and still she screamed. Ancom doubled over and was sick. From this, we see that even if a tiny bit of the hive gets on you, it's game over. But folks, this gets only worse from here. If you're prone to pissing your pants, don't listen to this next section. There were insects in the hissing, steaming slime, writhing, slightless maggot things with hard black shells. They swarmed from the discolored vomit-like biomatter, the air full of the saturation of their passing as they swiftly covered the deck and the congelator stations, workbenches, and walls, riding the rising tide of acid. First hundreds and then thousands of them reach Ancom, swarming over his boots and knees and up his arms where he was crouched against the Vox systems. He tried to scream, but choked on his own bile. His eyes rolled back into their sockets as the alien swarm began eating him alive. For a moment, Davrik was alone. Then his bench collapsed. "Oh God, Emperor, no," he screamed, trying to scramble back onto the playsteel's disintegrating remains. "No, no, no!" The bioacid caught him, sloshing around his boots and lower fatigues. His panic wails quickly turned to screams of agony as the material was eaten away, exposing flesh that in turn began to slough off. Muscle and sinew became gray organic paste that revealed bone that gave way and splintered beneath its own acid-gnawed weight. Daverick died slowly on his knees, eaten up inch by inch by the bile and the sightless burrowing things that swam in it. Eventually the insects flooded his raw throat, choking and suffocating him as they ate out his eyes and bored through his nose and ears and into his brain. Yeah, I told you guys that was graphic, and that is the fate of every single living being in 40k if the Tyranids emerge victorious. And that is what brings me to my most terrifying point, that what the galaxy has seen so far, Hive Fleet's Behemoth, Kraken, and Leviathan are just the vanguard of the true swarm. The real body of the Great Devourer is still out there in the intergalactic void, slowly moving towards us. The Imperium barely survived the few tendrils that made it this far. If the real Hive Fleet are even double or triple that force, the galaxy as we know it would cease to exist. Only one force might stand against them, the fully awakened Necrons. But if even they fail, then everything else, from the humblest farmer to the mightiest space marine, will end up the same way. Digested, broken down, and reborn as something that only knows how to kill and consume.
Well, we're fucked.
Now, I'm not going to go super deep into this one since this video is already a lore behemoth on its own, but this deserves a quick little cow-sized mention because this is the kind of thing that keeps me and Inquisitors up at night. In Dark Heresy, the Radical's Handbook, there's an obscure reference to something called the Harrowing, a mysterious, possible extra-dimensional race of entities. The story goes that somewhere near the edge of the Segmentum Obscurus, explorers stumbled upon a strange artifact known as the Echoing Vault. What came from it was something utterly wrong. These beings, known only as the Harrowing, define the laws of physics and sanity alike. Just being near them could kill you or worse, break your mind entirely. They tore through Imperial and Xenos worlds alike, wiping out entire civilizations in mere years, leaving nothing but dead planets and silence in their wake. The Imperium, desperate to stop them, supposedly resorted to a horrifying blend of sorcery and forbidden technology from the Dark Age of technology to finally push the Harrowing back, sealing the breach and erasing all trace of the conflict from history. The sheer scale of it was so catastrophic that every record of the event was purged, and the story now only survives in fragmented myths whispered by heretics and rogue Mechanicum adepts. So the real question is, what was the Harrowing? I think the most plausible theory is that the Harrowing were from another dimension entirely. Obviously, there's not a lot of proof to prove that statement, but from what we can gather from the Echoing Vault and the horrific damage they dealt on both Xenos and the Imperium, I think it's a pretty easy suggestion to make that these beings were not from our galaxy, which is a very horrifying thought that there are extra-dimensional aliens seeking the death of the 40k universe. Not even chaos, not the Tyranids, but something else entirely that may even wield power beyond even them. Whew, we've gotten through all of them. Most of these Xenos are utterly terrifying, like holy goddamn cow. Every single one of them could completely ruin your day. From the sadistic Dark Eldar to the biomass-devouring Tyranids. But now that we've trudged through every flavor of cosmic horror 40k has to offer, it's time for the real question, the only metric that truly matters. Which Xenos would make me piss my pants? Because when the hive mind comes knocking, Necron Deathrays are flying, and the orcs are screaming, "Wag!" I think it's fair to say fear is the most honest currency left in the galaxy.
Hey, look everybody, Billy peed his pants.
Of course I peed my pants. Everybody my age pees their pants. It's the coolest.
Really?
Yes, you ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
Oh, good. Why, that's very good. Yes, I like that.
Hello, hello. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I know it's been a long one, and I myself did not expect it to be so goddamn long. But here we are, we're going to be ranking in the most silly way possible all of the scariest Xenos in 40k. on how much they would make me piss my pants. We're pretty much going to figure out how much of a pussy I am by the end of this segment. That's kind of why we're doing this. As you can tell, we have quite a few fun categories here. We have I'm taking them in a fight, where I think me, a fallen gal, could beat the shit out of these Xenos. It might be a little delusional to say that, but I'm a cow, so I am therefore never wrong. A mild dribble of concern is the one up from that. Means my survival instincts are kinda kicking in. I'm not really that scared, but there's definitely a oh shit type of moment. My knees may be quaking or shaking, but I have not lost control of my bladder yet. Maybe a little bit has come out, but not completely. What the fuck are we doing? I just said that sentence and I realized this is really silly. I haven't done a really silly tier list since I ranked all the Primarchs I would kiss. And that was for the 1,000 subscriber special. Damn, that was a long time ago. Whew, damn, time flies. Then we have full cow size bladder panic. So I'm inching into, I'm terrified right now, probably. I'm getting really scared, but and I might be peeing. I might be peeing just a little bit more than mild dribble. It might be more than mild dribble, and I'm panicking that I might lose full control over my bladder. There's probably more than a little bit coming out, but I still have a slight control over my bladder. And then planetary piss, everything's coming out. There's no stops, no holds. The piss is coming, and it's coming fast. So those are the 4 tiers. This is a really silly tier list. I kind of thought of the idea when I was writing the script that I should rank all the aliens on how much they'd make me pee for some odd reason. But then, hey, this is the Halloween special. We gotta make it special somehow, fellas. And since this is a tier list, I will be saying what I am wearing. So what am I wearing right now? I'm wearing a pair of NASA shorts. They're NASA shorts. All my clothes are in the laundry right now, so I had to pick something out. And they have a bunch of little stars on it and a bunch of constellations. Now, I myself am not a constellation guy, but my mom bought me these. So, you know, you gotta wear them. You gotta rep them up. And then I am wearing my falling cow jacket. For those who don't know, when my birthday in August, my sweet, wonderful, amazing girlfriend painted me a jacket with my falling cow logo on it, and that was simply insane. She did a great job. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out my falling cow Instagram. It is in the description or bio of my YouTube account, and the picture will be in there. She did great. She did a great fucking job. I can't lie. And it's very comfy. It's a very comfy sweater. So that's what I'm wearing. I don't have a cup of coffee on me because I'm actually filming this later in the day instead of the morning because reasons. But I do have a hearty glass of milk right next to me. So let me take a sip because what is a tier list without some ASMR sips, fellas, right? Hold on. It's out of like a jug. I don't know why I'm drinking milk out of a jug, but deal with it. So we have all the aliens we covered in this video that we're going to be ranking on the glorious piss index, starting with the Drukhari and ending with the Umbra. I'm going to try to keep this as clear and concise as possible without going too far into the cow hole because I know this video is incredibly long already. So without further ado, let's jump into the piss index. So the Drukhari are up first. That's an easy planetary piss exterminatus. They are fucking terrifying. If I was walking down the street as an Imperial citizen and I saw a Dark Elf Corsair fleet arrive in the system and they started kidnapping people, I would either A, hide under my bed, which would totally work, B, hide in my closet, which if the bed wouldn't work, then the closet totally would, or C, I would hire someone to hit me in the head with a rock until I was dead, because if I do not want to get caught by these fellas, guys. You don't understand, and you do not want to get caught by the Drukhari. If you get caught, they're going to torture you for the rest of your existence just to survive. Like, that's the whole Drukhari thing. Without torture, without taking people's emotions and souls, they're going to get devoured by Slaanesh. So they're going to extend that period of time you're getting tortured until it feels like forever, and then maybe you'll accidentally die. But they're gonna try to keep you alive for as long as possible while giving you the worst torture of your life. I would rather get hit in the head with a rock than have to deal with that shit the rest of my life. I didn't sign up for that. It's not in the Falling Cow contract to be tortured by Lilith Hezarax for all time. So yeah, they're an easy planetary piss exterminatus. I'm losing control of my bladder immediately upon seeing those long knife ears. All right, next are the flayed ones. The flayed ones are pretty, I just wanted to break them into 2 parts because they're kind of different from the Necrons. We kind of covered the difference in the video. But the flayed ones are possessed with the Flayer virus, and they just kill living beings because of that curse, which is very different from the Necrons because they're not trying to, you know, wear your fucking skin. They're pretty scary, man, and they have their own dimension, so they could just pop out in the middle of like a bath session, and they could just be like, "Hey, that's a nice pair of skin you got there. I'm gonna wear it." Yes, that'd be tough. I'm gonna put them in full cow size bladder panic. I'd probably see them. I know I'm dead, so there's gonna be a little pee coming out, but I don't think I would lose control of my bladder because they're not gonna torture me like the Drukhari. I'm gonna be dead, but it's gonna be quick and I hope painless because they're Necrons. They have these big old talons, probably gonna slice me up a little bit. I hope they're not gonna skin me alive, but I think it'll be a painful death, but not as long as the Drukhari. All right, the Harud are next. The Time Wizards, essentially their Time Wizard. Joey Wheeler needs to put these guys in his deck. I don't know if you guys understood that. That was a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, one of the best games of all time. Hit me up if you want a duel. I will take you down with my Elemental Hero deck. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. The Harud. So the Harud, they, by simply existing, they destroyed the sense of time. So being in proximity with them, you're gonna age, and that's horrifying. I'm gonna put them in either here because I probably would be a little bit seeing these disgusting mother heckers. They have like bacteria and scales and stuff. Ugh, gross. Honestly, the whole concept of aging just by being around them absolutely blows. Like imagine you're just walking down the street, you have a pizza in your hand, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta eat this pizza at home, and you pass one of them who's just like chilling in like the sewer. You age like 60 years, and then your pizza's fucking decayed, and then you're just like, oh man, I can't even hold this decayed pizza anymore. What a silly analogy, but that's pretty much, that's terrifying. I would lose control of my pee, probably because of age as well, but also metaphorically, I would lose control of my piss, whatever that means. But yeah, the Harud, the concept of losing time without even like realizing it, or just like losing your whole existence in the span of 5 seconds, is a very terrifying thought. And it's like similar to the Drukhari, where it's to torture, but it's also you're being defeated by old age, and it's fucking scary, man. All right, the Crave. The Crave are the mind eaters. They're like they're bat fellas, and they like to infest your brain, and like every single other being in 40K, everyone hates brains. They like going for the brains, man. Like the sloth literally eat brains. They're like, it's really good. It's really nourishing for me. I like to eat the human brains, bro. Go back to Plants vs. Zombies, you loser. But back to the Craves. The Crave are the bat fellas. They kind of get wiped out during the Great Crusade, and you don't really see them a lot in the current setting. I think there's like 2 occasions of them being spotted, and then they were quickly defeated. So I'm gonna put them in mild dribble of concern. If I saw these fellas, I'd kind of be scared that I'm gonna get possessed, but there's not much I could do about that because I'm just a simple little cow trying to make his way through the galaxy. But if they tried to fight me, I probably would lose. I will say. But if they tried to go in my brain, there's a chance that all the silly autistic things in my head will fight them out, and they'll be like, I'm not possessing this guy. This guy is way too autistic for me. So I hope that would give me a nice little buffer, but at the end of the day, I'm not really scared of them. They look like Batman if he had wings and some long-ass nails and stuff, but I'm not scared. I'm not really that scared of the Crave. All right, the Lacrimole. So these are the space vampires. They can shapeshift, but they don't seem to have any other powers besides shapeshifting. I'm going to put a mild dribble of concern. I think I would be really scared if, say, my girlfriend was hanging out with me and we were playing like some some classic Black Ops 3 zombies. I'm really getting some great examples in today, guys. I'm firing on all cylinders. But back to my point. If we were playing some Black Ops 3 zombies, and then she turned to me and then turned into this scaly guy, I'd probably be like, whoa, what the hell? And then I'd punch him, and I'd punch the alien in the face, and I would RKO him. So I think I could take the Lacrimal in the face. I could take him in a fight. It might be delusional, but I think I really could. Like, all they have is shapeshifting, and they don't know that I am an expert WWE wrestler in my mind, of course, but they don't know that. So I think I could. I think I'd be spooked by the initial reaction of, you know, them shapeshifting, and I think I'd be able to control my bladder and beat the shit out of them. Yeah, you're going down, Lacrimal. The Mechrarachnids are next. I think that's how you say it. I really hope so. I really struggled saying this throughout the video, and you guys won't know because the whole script is edited, the whole audio is edited. But I think I fucked up saying this word at least over 20 times, and I was about to punch a hole through my wall. I was very frustrated, but you don't see that side of the video where a falling cow crashes out 3 times because he can't say Mechrarachnids. You don't see that part of the video, but I'm letting you know it happens quite a lot. So the Mechrarachnids, they're giant spiders, and they're seen in Horse Rising, and that's about it. We never know what happens to them. We don't know exactly where they go, but it can be assumed that they got exterminated right after the Interrex debacle. So they're giant spiders, and it seems like they can kill a Stardy. So I don't think I could take them in a fight, but I'm not really that scared of spiders. I probably could outrun one maybe, but I don't think I could take it in a fight. It would probably kill me, just like the Crave. I honestly think these guys could probably kill me. If I'm being straight up honest, they probably could kill me, but I'm not that scared of them. I think I'd be like, whoa, look at that guy. It's a giant spider. I would probably be more like dumbfounded than scared. And thus, I'm going to put him in mild dribble of concern because I don't think my bladder would be having issues facing a giant spider. Sure, he could kill me, but I will not be scared. All right, the Necrons. So the Necrons, it's like the same thing. I would put them at the top of mild dribble of concern, but I'm not really that scared of metal robots that I can't kill. Like, it's the same exact argument for the Mechrarachnids. Like, oh my god, I'm saying it right for once. The Necrons will come at me and they'll kill me, but they won't like defile my corpse or like torture me or anything like that. I'm just gonna die, and that's kind of it. And they may even just blow up my planet, so I won't even know I'm dead. It just happens like in a blink of an eye. It's like the Death Star coming over to your planet and blowing you up, and I'll be like, oh, I'm dead, and I won't even be able to do that. I'll be just dead. So I'm not really that scared of them. I would say they're not going to do something heinous to my corpse, so I'm not going to lose control of my bladder. I think that's a solid spot. Okay, the Orcs, I'm going to put them in full-sized bladder panic, maybe ahead of the flayed ones. The Orcs are fucking scary, man, because they may kill you, but they also may, like we saw in Rin's world, they might take you for experimentation or slavery and make you mine fungus or whatever the hell they want to do, or they may torture you and use you as an experiment, which is horrifying when these Orcs are stupid as hell. So they're going to be like doing hella silly things to your body because they're like, I'm going to stick a hook on his head and put it into his brain. Like, they're going to do like hella silly stuff to your brain, and I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm probably going to lose a little control of my bladder, but I don't think I would freak out as much because the chances are if I try to fight them, they're going to kill me fast instead of, torturing me. So the strategy for the Orcs would be to fight them. I would not win, but they would kill me fast. I hope I'm making sense so far. This is a very silly ranking for a very fun video. Psych new in. Natives of Prospero. Oh my god, I'd fucking freak the fuck out. I hate insects, man. But not spiders, even though that's kind of contradictory what I just said. But I hate wasps, most of all. I don't think spiders are scary, man, because they don't really bite you. I don't know if that makes sense. But the Psychnuin, they're fucking wasps, and you can't even hurt them unless they're a psyker. And unfortunately I'm not a psyker, so I don't think I'd be able to fight the Psychnuin. That would scare the hell out of me. A floating white wasp that's gonna lay insects in my brain. Yeah, that's terrifying. And I'm also scared of eggs. So eggs and wasps, It's like that thing from The Wizard of Oz. Wasps, eggs, oh my! Yeah, I would lose control of my bladder if I saw a floating white wasp coming at me, waiting to put insects in my little cow brain. Next we have the rat ghoul, and they are ginormous fucking reptilians with multiple arms, and they surgically attach weapons to themselves. That's terrifying. I'm losing control of my bladder. I don't really like reptilians either. They kind of scare the shit out of me. And imagine one with the goddamn chainsawed or chainsword on his arm, and he's gonna come at you. And it's stated that all they want to do is kill things. So if I saw one, I'm like, I'm dead. And he's a fucking four-armed. He's got a lot of arms, and he just looks really scary. I think I'd piss myself. All right, the next one is the Rang Dang. It's a little hard to talk about these guys because we don't really know much about them. So I'm just gonna put them in. I mean, they were really hard to kill, but it seems like they served the sloth. I'm just gonna put these guys next to each other because we don't really know much about the Rang Dang. The sloth are also terrifying. Like I said, I don't like insects, and maggots are fucking gross. I'm cringing just thinking about them. If these guys came up to me and I saw a bunch of maggots coming out of a hood and he's gonna eat my brain, which also is a very scary thing, I would piss myself immediately. And I would have no shame in doing it. I would be like, you guys are not pissing your pants with seeing these guys? I'm terrified. I'm easily pissing my pants. So I'm gonna put the Rang Dang, I'm just gonna put him back here. The Emperor had to bring out possibly the Void Dragon to kill them all. They've gotta be scary. And if there's supposedly like theories that the two lost Primarchs, the ones who fell from grace, fought in this war and that something bad happened to them and that's why they are deleted from the history books. I don't know if that's strictly true. I've just seen a lot of theories about it. So if maybe there's a hint of truth there. They've got to be pretty terrifying. They killed 1/3 of the Dark Angel's Legion. I think that speaks for itself. They're pretty scary. Okay. Enslavers. Another easy one. My God, man. Imagine a fucking one of these huge fellas popping out of someone's brain and they would instantly mind control you. Instantly. That's terrifying. I'd be like, oh, what the, is that a jellyfish coming out of your brain, dude? And then I'd be possessed. It'd be like that. And I hope I would have time to piss myself in between that. I don't know why I'm hoping for that, but I think I'm just saying that to prove a point. And once again, I would not be ashamed of I'm pissing my pants in that moment because of a giant jellyfish coming out of someone's fucking brain. That's horrifying. All right, the Slith. Easy. I think I talked about this during the video. These are snakes, man. I'm gonna fucking do some trickery. I'm gonna lead him around a corridor while he's chasing me. He's gonna trip on something. I'm gonna tangle his tail up. I'm just gonna punch him in the face with my cow hooves. He's not gonna stand a ghost of a chance. And I know someone's gonna say, he's got 4 arms, cow. Well, I have two hooves and 2 legs, and he has none. So by that calculation, I should be able to come out ahead. That argument made no sense, but we're going with it. I think I could take these two legitimately. Like, come on. This guy's a shapeshifter. He might frighten me, but I got a gnarly right hook, and I'm gonna trick the hell out of this guy. He's gonna get band-schnoozled so bad by your favorite falling cow. He's just gonna fall over. It's gonna be like one of those classic cartoon chases. I'm gonna like lead him around this corridor. I'm gonna put something in the ground or have some obstacle there, and he's gonna trip. And then there's my opportunity, just to wail on him. Easy. I'm taking him in a fight. The heroine really don't know much about, but it sounds like the what's the movie called? Hellraiser. You solved the puzzle, we came. That's what I'm visioning from that, and it's terrifying. They came from an extra dimensional rift, and they just destroyed everything in their path. I'm pissing my pants. That sounds horrifying, and I don't think I could hold my bladder seeing that. The Tyranids are in the same boat. I don't know if these are not really ranked in order. I'm just putting them in tiers. The Tyranids are in the same boat. If you guys read that excerpt, like the full one from the book The Last Hunt, it sounds fucking horrifying. Imagine the Tyranids just show up at your little space station or your home, and they just start dropping these guys on you, and they're just gonna eat you. That's their whole point, is just to eat you. And you can't do it. Like, the whole existence of the Tyranids is meant to eat you. Down to the little insect, to the big Carnifex. They're gonna come after you, and they're gonna try to eat you. And that is freaking horrifying. Imagine you're just chilling in bed, reading Harry Potter for the 3rd time, and one of these little bugs comes in your ear, and you don't even notice it. He's gonna eat you from the inside out, and you're not even gonna know it. And you're gonna finish the 3rd chapter. Harry just got to Hogwarts, and you're gonna die before even getting to the best part. So sad. And I would piss my pants upon realizing there's a Tyranid in my goddamn ear. I hope my arguments are making sense. Sometimes I question it. The Umbra are the last one. They are giant floating black balls that can have shadow. They can like create manifestations of shadows like hooks, claws. It doesn't seem like they're that strong. I definitely can't take it in a fight, that's for sure. But also a floating black ball, and you're just like, whoa, is that a floating black ball? And then it just creates a shadow claw to come at you. I'd be like, oh, that's happening over there. I would piss my pants. I would piss them very thoroughly. Should we rank? Let's just rank them by how much I'd piss my pants for this top tier. Because it's pretty obvious that I think I'd piss my pants on a majority of these guys. These might be stretches, but I really think I could beat them up. These guys, they're going to kill me, but it's not going to be like insidious means. And they're not that terrifying to me. And then these guys, like, there's a chance they outright kill me. But there is a chance that they do some insidious thing, so I might lose control of my bladder. This one, not so much. Like, maybe like a smidge will come out, but like nothing serious. But this is like full on, like, can't wear those pants again. Let's rank them. I think the Enslavers would be like number 1. They're fucking giant jellyfish that possess Psyker's brains, and then they'll come out and possess you. That's horrifying. Sloth are 2 because there's maggots. They're fucking maggot men. 3, I'm gonna put the Tyranids because also that's horrifying, just being eaten alive and turned into something. Drukhari over the Tyranids, low-key. Honestly, the Drukhari are number 1. I just don't. I think that's horrifying, man. There's a literal part in the Drukhari lore where they turn a guy into a living fucking room, and he's alive, but he's in so much pain. That's horrifying. I couldn't deal with that. I would piss my pants immediately upon seeing one. I think the Ragul are probably back here. Like, they're horrifying looking, but I don't know if they're gonna do insidious things to my body after I'm dead. So I'm gonna piss them, but it's not gonna be like as bad as this spectrum. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, guys. Put the Psych Nguyen up here. The Harud probably down here. The Heroine, I'm just going to put at the end because we really don't know what they look like. We just don't really know much about them, so I'm just going to leave them there. Besides the horrifying fact that they deleted multiple Imperium and Xenos planets, and the Imperium needed Dark Age technology and sorcery to beat them. So, put them back there. I'm probably pissing my pants. They probably look horrifying. Rang Dang, same boat as they're kind of just paired with the Sloth. You could make that correlation. I discussed it in the video that they're slightly connected. You could make that connection, but we simply don't really know much about the Rang Dang because reasons. But I think this is solid. I think this is solid. Yeah. I'm gonna leave the tier list in the description if you guys want to rank how much Xenos aliens would make you piss your pants. And if you join my Discord, I have a section called Tier Lists of Plenty, I believe, or something along those lines. And it'll also be there if you guys can't find the description for some odd reason. But if you want to leave your finished tier list of the piss index in the Discord, go ahead. I'm going to leave mine in there for future reference if anyone wants to come into my Discord and say, I wonder what Falling Cow... How many Xenos Falling Cow would lose his bladder to? That's gonna be there. But yeah, so this is the number 1 of Drukhari. I think everyone saw that one coming, and these guys, I think I'm beating the hell out of. I'm smoking them. They have no chance against the champion Falling Cow. But these guys' bladder is not being controlled. But yeah, this is my final piss indexed ranking. Alright, Herd, we've officially survived the horrors of the galaxy, from soul-sucking murder elves to bug swarms that'll turn you into lunch meat. If you've enjoyed this Halloween special, make sure to like this video and subscribe to join the Herd for more silly videos in the future. Next week, we're staying on the Xenos train, baby, because next time, we're diving into which orc from each clan is the absolute biggest, baddest, and strongest in the galaxy. A huge shout out to my Patreon and YouTube members, Ryania Basket, Omar, Ritter S, and Posse Paul, Keydri, Musty, Nico149, and William Strong. You guys are the absolute coolest cowbros in the world, and I really appreciate you. Your support brings me one step closer to fully achieving my dreams of becoming a full-time YouTuber. If you want to vote on which video comes next, get sneak peeks, or just support your favorite falling cow, either join my Patreon or YouTube memberships. There are a ton of benefits, and either choice really supports the channel. Now that the clusterfuck of October is done, I have so much more free time in November, so we're going to be cranking out a lot of fun videos, so make sure you guys stick around. The Chaos Warbands are coming, as well as Star Wars vs 40K, and the ultimate power scaling ranking, which Space Marine in 40K is the strongest. So make sure you guys stick around for those ones. Happy Halloween, Herd. I hope you're all having a fabulous week. Drop which costume you guys are going to be wearing this upcoming Spooktacular Friday. As always, stay milked, stay safe out there this weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.